Welcome to Maybe You're Interested, but probably not. A weekly podcast where we discuss topics in culture, questions from scripture, or things that we just find humorous or interesting. This podcast is brought to you by Northview Church in Kodak, Tennessee, and you can reach out to us anytime by visiting our website at www.mynorthview.church. Thanks for joining us. And now, on to this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to Maybe You're Interested, but Probably Not. This is our third episode. It's a podcast of Northview Church, and I am Greg Rains, the lead pastor of Northview Church, and I'm joined once again today by Mr. Jesse Kate. Say hello, Jesse.
Hey, how's it going?
Tell us something really cool about yourself, Jesse.
I feel like we did this last time.
No, we talked about your family last time. What's something really cool that happened this week?
That's a lot.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Hey, these buttons do something. Let's, yeah, that didn't do anything. Never mind. It's muted.
Yeah, one thing really cool that happened this week. I don't like that question. I can't think of anything.
All right, we're moving on. We're also joined by Greg Jones, an elder of Northview Church. Greg, tell us something interesting that's happened this week. Any more baby cows come along?
No baby cows. I haven't had any new baby cows in a while. I did almost finish a painting that I'm working on. So.
Oh, nice.
Are you a painter?
Someone.
You have so many hidden talents.
Yeah, he's an artist.
Yeah.
You like to crochet?
You know, I haven't tried crocheting yet. But
You will, though.
But
I
was
have no
looking
doubts.
at Jennifer's Apple Watch band. I thought, I can make that.
Anyways, we are going to continue with tonight's episode. The big question for today is, we're going to have a little fun with this one. What are some changes in 2020 that we've seen happen that you hope... Are you just now seeing this question? What are some changes in 2020 that you hope never go back to the way they were before 2020? It's the headline right there on your phone.
It's not completely displayed.
That's not my fault. Anyways, I did a blog on it this week, some things that I thought were interesting, so I'm going to make you guys talk about that and then give me your own thoughts. One of the things that I am really glad has changed in 2020, and I hope it never goes back to the way it was, is how they now sanitize public spaces. They actually clean menus in restaurants. Mm-hmm. One of the most disgusting things for me is always using a salt shaker. You ever thought about that? Those things never get wiped down. Yeah. So what's your all's feelings on that? I know you went to a movie recently. I went to, and it was actually clean. I've never seen that theater. We won't name names. That clean before. So what's your feelings on it, Greg?
Yeah, well, like you said, we went to a movie last weekend, and it was the first time in 3 months or so. It was really, really, even the bathrooms were clean, which that never happens in a movie.
At any theater.
No matter what theater you go to, the bathrooms are never clean, but those were spotless. The floor was spotless in the theater. Even the drink machines were, usually there's gook and yummy Coke residue.
Well, that makes me very happy. Now, it wasn't hard to keep my theater clean because me and Christy were literally the only people in the theater, which is always kind of cool and weird at the same time. But anyways, how about you, Jesse? Have you noticed any of that?
Yeah, a couple of things I think that I'm going to continue to take advantage of after this is kind of coming past. But number one, and this was there before, but the mobile apps for restaurants.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
I have learned how awesome those things are. And, man, I can order Chick-fil-A and pick it up and, not have to go through the drive-thru.
And then you get points. And get free stuff
nuggets
from it. It's always awesome.
Yeah, I'm not turning down free nuggets. And then also from, a professional or work life, these Zoom meetings have been awesome. I can do a meeting from my house instead of having to drive an hour to a customer's location. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That wasn't the question, but still good stuff that you're throwing out there.
It was the question.
I guess it was kind of, we were on the sanitizing of public spaces, but whatever.
Look, if you want me to just...
Zoom is very sanitary.
I know.
That is the most sanitary, especially when I was doing meetings with the youth group. You can never be sanitized in a youth group, but I got to do them on Zoom, so that was very sanitary, which was awesome. I was going to say something that I totally forgot about. So we're going to move on. One of the big things, and you can talk to me about how this has affected your own personal lives. One of the big things for me is actually getting to spend time with my family. I didn't realize how unfocused I was on my family until this happened. And I know some people are like, yeah, I spent way too much time with my family. And I get that, but that's healthy too. Now you know what you don't like about your kids and your significant other, and you can work on those. But, we actually got to cook meals at home, which when we did, it was always just kind of throwing them together. But we actually got to enjoy that time together. I sat on my front porch, and I've lived in this house for 14 years and have never sat on my front porch. And me and Christy just sat out there with a Diet Coke and enjoyed each other's company. That was kind of cool. So how about you guys? How's it affected your family time?
Yeah, I think just kind of to your point, I mean, just getting to spend more time with them. Me and Megan were able to we've done a lot of projects around the house together, which, as you know, for married couples can be good and bad.
Yeah, makes you want to go to work, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit now. But seriously, though, for her especially, with her being a teacher, she's got to spend a lot of time with our baby Ellie, and it's been great for her. I mean, these formative kind of months in her life that she's been able to spend that time with her. I've been able to be at the house more. We talked a little bit about the Zoom meetings. So no, it's been really great getting to spend more family time together and just getting to kind of pour into one another there.
Yeah. Now your kids are grown, so you were probably already spending Jennifer time together, I would guess. But
yeah.
How's it affected that much?
Well, we got to do a lot of things together that we didn't normally do. Like she helped me build some tables, and
I bet she loved that.
Well, she was very helpful.
That doesn't mean she loved it.
No, it was her idea.
Yeah, Braxton's really helpful putting mulch out in the front, but he hates doing it.
But we, like you said, you got to go out on your front porch and just sit and enjoy the time together. We went on drives, especially during when everything was just shut down and you couldn't really go anywhere.
Yeah, that was really the best time for family time for us.
Yeah. We just drop the top on the Jeep and go.
Yeah,
and have an awesome time just getting to talk.
I'm guessing that my neighbors probably think that they have a new neighbor because they see us now sitting on the front porch, and they'll wave and they'll talk, and it's kind of weird, I'm sure, for them because, like I say, lived here 14 years, never sat on that front porch. Another thing that I have noticed during all of this time is when we've been cut off from so many people. For me, I'm a little bit of an introvert. I think I've told you guys that before. I can sit in my man room and I'm good.
Yeah.
If nobody's around, that's even better. But for me, not being around people has made me realize I really need community, especially in my Christian walk. There were times in the past where we as a group and some other guys would get together and have breakfast and once a week and talk about things, and just being in the church building and being able to talk to people and interact with people and life groups. You were talking about Zoom a minute ago, and I'm very thankful that we had Zoom so that we could stay connected in some sense. But I really missed being in a room with people. Life groups are just different when you're not sitting around a table eating chicken or whatever we would have that week and just talking with each other. Because, our Zoom groups, I don't know how your Zoom group went, but our Zoom groups were a whole lot shorter because we took the free version of Zoom, so they limit your time on that. So our groups were, 40 minutes instead of hour and a half. So it really reduced that conversation. And then for me, as leading the group when I'm teaching on Zoom, it just felt awkward to me. I'm just not used to that. So it made me realize how much I need people to be in the space of people and people who are pouring into me, and just when I say pouring into me, just sharing their life so I know what other people are going through and know that I'm not in this whole Christian thing by myself. So what did you guys notice that at all? Have you even thought about that?
Yeah, for us, I mean, like you said, it's just nice. You realize how nice it is being around your church family whenever you have to spend a couple of months away from them. And we really, that first Sunday night that we got back together and had the worship service, just to be able to encourage people and also seek encouragement on certain things that you're struggling with. You don't realize how much you miss those small things until you're kind of forced to be away from them, I think.
Yeah.
There's when you're together, I think there's more of a connection than just being on video.
Yeah.
That personal connection is not, to me, it just never came across on Zoom meetings.
Did it, for you guys on Zoom meetings, did it feel more like kind of a formal thing? Let's get on and get these things done instead of, we're pretty laid back in our life group. We just kind of chit chat and then go wherever the conversation goes.
Especially with the free Zoom, because you were on that clock. And you're like, well, we got to get this done.
And then it pops up and says, you got 10 minutes left. And that last 10 minutes flies by.
And it just felt like you just had to get it done and get it over with.
Yeah.
When you're meeting in person, you can stay as long as you want and hang out and laugh and joke around. But you really can't do that too much on Zoom, or it cuts you off.
Yeah, that is the truth. Maybe if we have to ever do that again, we need to pay for the premium feature on it. We can talk for an hour instead of 40 minutes. That kind of goes into the last question that I have, and where I want to spend the rest of our conversation today, though. Like I said, I'm really thankful that we had Zoom. It was a little awkward at times, but at least we got to see faces and have conversations with people that, I don't know, 10 years ago, we probably wouldn't have been able to do that. That technology, my internet wasn't even fast enough to do that a year ago. So things have changed so much in such a short amount of time. And what it's really opened the eyes for me is that being inside the doors of the church is maybe cutting us off from so many opportunities. Because I don't know how much you looked at our interaction on when we would do our Northview Church online on Sundays. On Sunday mornings, we weren't getting like tons of people, but through the week, before this whole pandemic started, we averaged 60 people in attendance. So we're hitting 60, 70 people a week was who we were engaging. But through a week on Northview Church Online, we would have anywhere from 700 to over 2,000 views on some of those. And I know that these aren't people who are always watching even more than 20 seconds of our program, but we're at least making contact with them. And that kind of opened my eyes to the opportunity we have to reach outside, and just by increasing how much we're reaching people online, how many more people we can reach. That's why we started this podcast, is because there's a greater reach out there when we're not focused on just Sunday mornings. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think for me, it just shows how many, like the endless possibilities that are really out there. And, I think us as a church, if we're not continuing to explore those, then we're failing a little bit. We need to find new avenues to reach people. And I think of it like, Jesus would come to people where they are. He didn't always expect them to travel a huge distance to come see him. He would come to people where they were. And I think that that's our responsibility as a church as well, is to, meet people out there and find different ways to have that conversation and show God's love to them through that.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on it, Jens?
Well, I think that, like I said before, when you meet face to face, you have those connections. We got to make those connections out in our community. And the videos, people know we're there, but I don't know if they actually know us. You know what I'm saying? We've just got to get out there and show them, we're here for the community. We want to help in any way we can, and just forge those friendships and connections with the community.
So are there ways that you all can think of, and I know I'm putting you on the spot here, so you may just say no, where we can be creative with our online services and some other ways to do things, where it's not just the Sunday morning service? I don't think that that's going to engage a great amount of people in building relationships. But how can we be creative with our online presence? Because my hope with our online presence, my hope with doing this podcast and doing a blog and all those kind of things isn't to get eyeballs on that. It's to get people who are engaging with our church so that at some point we can meet them and build relationships with them and hopefully get them in the door and share Jesus with them. And if they're already believers, they're not plugged into a church, get them in the door and give them a place where they can serve. So what's your guys' thoughts on that? Have you thought about any creative ways we can get out and start engaging more people?
Yeah, I think one idea that I really liked, and it was your idea, I think. But now that we're on the podcast, it's my idea. I think it's how that works.
We'll give it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you had said something about like maybe I'm using the wrong term here, but kind of like a fire. I don't know why I agree to do these things, but maybe like a fireside chat kind of thing, like during the middle of the week.
Yeah,
like little short 5-10 minute videos, and maybe even that turns into us. Like whenever we go out, this past year, we ran the concession stand over at Northview High School for the visitor side on the football field. Maybe we take, a short video of that and like one of those time lapse videos or something like that, and just show people what we're doing out in the community and kind of how we do love this community and we want to be involved, and we want them to give us suggestions too. We're not set in our ways to where, hey, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. Like, we want people to come to us with ideas and give us ways to serve throughout the community.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
How about you, Jonesy?
Yeah, well, serving the community is definitely, I think that's one of the biggest ways we can get out there and people know who we are and grow to trust us. But I have nothing really.
Good stuff, man. You could crochet something.
Maybe I could.
Let me just give Greg Jones an idea really quick. Bud's Gun Shop or Smoky Mountain Knife Works. Watch him go.
Ooh,
I'm just kidding.
Hey, there's that new axe throwing place too.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know, Mr. Jones heads up our men's ministry, so we need to go throw axes, and I don't know.
Can I tell you a funny story real
Absolutely.
quick about the axe throwing place?
You can do it.
So me and Megan were driving up 66 the other day, and we were headed home. We went to Tanger Outlets for something. And anyways, there was somebody out there throwing the axes, and it's just like right off the highway there. And I really wish that he was like going back to throw the axes we were coming by, because I wanted to blow the horn so bad and just see where that axe went. You know,
I've actually got a funny story kind of along those lines.
Yeah.
I've not thought of this in years. The Gatlinburg Golf Course?
Yeah.
I was driving by it on my way to work one day. It's 20 years ago when I was working at Dollywood.
Yeah.
And I'm driving in, and a guy is in the middle of his backswing on the tee, and I blow the horn at him, and he literally misses the ball, and I see him start. I don't know what words he said, but I'm sure they weren't good. And I'm driving down the road, but he picks up the ball and throws it at me. I mean, it was nowhere near hitting me because I was already past him, but it's one of the funniest stories about golf
good.
that I hadn't thought about that in 20 years.
Yeah. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that one
problem.
up. Yeah,
Not a problem.
I totally forgot where I was going after that, but
Sorry.
But that's why we call this Maybe You're Interested, but probably not, because people have tuned out by now. And if you're still with us, we really appreciate that, and we feel sorry for you. But anyways, back on this topic of getting outside the walls of the building. My hope in all of this is that it's opened the eyes of the church, our church, and other churches, to where we realize we don't need to focus on Sunday mornings. Now, don't take me wrong. Sunday mornings are vital to what we do. I believe Scripture teaches, do not forsake the gathering together of believers. It tells us that in Hebrews, I believe, chapter 10. So that's something that we really want to focus on, but it can't be the main focus if we want to reach people. The main focus has to be being in the community, engaging people in creative ways, and finding ways to meet them in personal spaces out in the community and online. Yeah. I've got some things I'm going to make you guys do pretty soon online that I think might be fun. That'll just help people get to know us as people, that they'll see us, and just fun stuff. And we're not even going to talk about, deep stuff. We're just going to have some fun. Jesse's got something he's going to say.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, way back, I guess really like about 1.5 years ago, whenever we just first started talking about Northview, that was a lot of the idea behind it is, we want to do things creative and reach the unchurched, and you're not going to reach the unchurched and have them come in on a Sunday morning service a lot of times. So, you've got to do some things a little differently than maybe we've done them in the past.
Yeah, but even we're all church people.
Yeah.
We've all grown up in church. So I think even for us setting out with that mission, we have kind of slid back into what we know.
Yeah, sure. It's easy to slide back into.
I feel like we're pretty good at what we know and what we do.
Yeah.
But I don't know that's the best way for us to reach people in our missions to make disciples who are growing in their love for Jesus and people. And I don't know that just a Sunday morning service is going to help us get there. It'll help us get there, but it's not going to get us all the way there. So the last question I've got for you guys, we are 6 months into 2020. I remember early in 2020, we went on a cruise together with a bunch of other people, and this pandemic was just starting.
Before.
And we didn't realize, I didn't realize, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I didn't realize how serious it was. And I was texting a friend before we go that, hopefully I don't get coronavirus. I didn't realize that there was actually a chance that might happen. Mm-hmm. So that was just a ill-advised joke that I didn't fully think through. But anyways, things changed really quickly when we got back, because that was late January into early February. I think we were gone. Yeah. And it just changed so quickly. And I remember that week in March, I think it was March, when they, in the span of a week, they shut down the NBA season. They shut down baseball.
March Madness.
Everything goes to sports for me. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But I don't know that it's ever all going to go back to the way it was. I thought about that some this week, and the closest thing I can think of to this in my life is 9/11, and things changed drastically after 9/11. And Jesse, you're young, you probably don't.
I was going to ask you about Pearl Harbor, but I guess that's probably...
That would be great.
Oh, okay.
But after 9/11, we were, as a society, we were willing to kind of suspend some of our liberties so that we would be kept safe. And we were willing to deal with long lines at the airport so that we knew we would be safe on those planes. And things just changed overnight, and they've never went back. Yeah. I think we're going through that season right now, not just with the pandemic, but with all the other stuff going on in our world. I don't think it's ever going to change back to the way that it was fully before this all started. What's your guys' thoughts to that?
I'll let you go first on that one, Greg.
He does have more experience.
Yeah. After 9/11, the world changed for better or worse. There was a lot of things that just never recovered. This, in some ways, seems a lot worse because it wasn't. 9/11 was just the United States. This is the world.
That's true.
And everybody's scared.
Yeah.
Everybody was scared. Everybody is scared, and you really don't know what next year is going to bring, because this could come back. Could be mild. Could be worse. We don't know. We won't know till it happens. But things have definitely gotten weird. Very weird.
And going back to 9/11, I think the big difference is 9/11 brought the country together. And other countries were joined in with us. It united us. What we're going through right now is doing the exact opposite. It's drawing a distinct line down the middle where most people fall on one side or the other. I feel like I fall pretty close to the middle, but I don't think you're allowed to do that. So,
yeah.
I think that's one of the scariest parts about this is our country was already in a boiling point, and it has just totally divided people right now. You got any thoughts to that, Jesse?
Yeah, I think so. For me, in 9/11, whenever 9/11 happened, I was in the sixth grade. Sorry. And anyways, we watched the TV and everything was going on, but I feel like, especially here in East Tennessee, growing up in East Tennessee and living here my whole life, and you guys have too, I'm pretty sure. But I've always felt like I'm just in this kind of bubble. And, that happened. And my baseball game got canceled that night. I still wish that we would have played that game because I was supposed to pitch that night, I think. But and it's kind of the same with coronavirus, too, and everything that's went on with it. I still kind of just feel like where we are just in the world, I feel like I'm just kind of secluded from some of those things. And then whenever, you start to see the reports of everything that's happening in Tennessee and then Knox County specifically, it just really starts to hit home a lot more. And especially now, that I'm a dad and I'm not just worried about myself, but I'm, also about Megan and my daughter. It's just crazy kind of how everything's went. And I think with social media and just kind of how everything gets a little bit blown out of proportion, I don't know if it would be that big of a deal if social media and the news coverage wasn't how it was.
Fair point.
Yeah, and I just really don't know what to think about it. And so, me and Megan, we always pray together every night before we go to bed. And for the last 3 or 4 months, we end the prayer and just tell God that, he's got this, and we know that he's got a plan for us, and kind of whatever that looks like, we're ready for, good or bad. So it's just, it's a crazy time. That's for sure.
It is a crazy time. And, like I said at the beginning of this, there's things that I hope don't go back. And some of that we talked about, especially that last question we had about the church. I hope we don't go back to just expecting people to show up on Sunday mornings. I mean, we've had this week we were actually, I don't know what the percentage would be, but probably 65-70% back, which is really good. Maybe even a little higher than that, because most churches are falling below 50%. And of course, for us, if we lose 2 people, that's 10%, I guess, right? No, not that bad, but but we are small.
Yeah.
So our people do seem to be coming back, but not all of them. And we'll see how that plays out in the future, because I think people, for various reasons, I think there's people who will be slow to come back into a church building. Yeah. And some of that's just they've now tasted what it's like to sleep in on Sunday mornings.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, too, I mean, you know how easy it is. Like, I don't know if you guys have been there personally, but for me, I've been in a place where I didn't want to wake up and go to church on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So if I had a built-in excuse like a pandemic, oh, man, I was golden. I was going for 6 weeks,
Yeah, I understand that. So,
I mean,
so I guess as we leave this conversation tonight, it's just I want to, if you're a member of Northview Church, I just want to challenge you to be with us in thinking of creative ways to reach outside the walls of our building, which we don't even have a building right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Hopefully we'll have a building soon. But that we don't focus on Sunday mornings, that we realize our mission is to make disciples, and that doesn't happen just on Sunday mornings, that we get creative. So if you got ideas, share them with Greg Jones.
Yeah,
and
please.
He will, because he's only got one job, so he can.
Yeah,
inside joke. But anyways, thank you for joining us for this episode of Maybe You're Interested, but Probably Not. There'll be a new episode pop up every Thursday, hopefully, if we can pull it off. But as of right now, we're planning on a new episode coming up every Thursday. You can catch up with our episodes on Facebook if you want to watch a video of it on Facebook or YouTube, or you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, as well as Google Podcasts. So I think we got just about everything
I didn't
covered.
even know Google had a podcast.
Yeah, me either.
Well, I think it's just like a directory. But anyways.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. But we're listed in it now, so
Yeah.
we're on top of the world, right?
I like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks for joining us. We'll be back with you next week.